Here we have Lopez's adjusted trial balance, the trial balance after adjustments have been made. And you can see that the debits equal the credits. So now we're able to proceed to prepare the financial statements. And we start always with the income statement. So you see here we have revenue and all these expenses. So we'll now summarize those into an income statement. We begin with revenue, and the first, of course, is service revenue, $104,000. Then the expenses. First one is salary expense, $32,000. Then utilities expense, $1,200. Insurance expense, $200. Then rent expense, $1,000. Supplies expense, $6,000. So depreciation building, $800. Depreciation truck, $400. Miscellaneous, $600. So we have total expenses of $42,200. Therefore, a net income of $61,800. Now we'll move to the statement of retained earnings. To begin with, when you look back at the adjusted trial balance, you can see that we have retained earnings here of $150,800. Now that's the retained earnings at the beginning of June. We haven't increased it by the net income, and that's what we're going to do now. And we reduce it by the dividends. Retained earnings then, June 1st, $150,800. Add net income, $61,800. Deduct dividends, $10,000. And that gives me now retained earnings of by June 30th of $202,600. And that's what I'll now carry forward into the balance sheet. This belongs to the shareholders, so it will go under the shareholders' equity section, retained earnings as of June 30th. For the balance sheet now, we use all the other accounts, the cash, accounts receivable, supplies, all these asset accounts, and the liability account, the capital stock, and the new retained earnings. Now this will be a classified balance sheet. Recall, we classify the assets into short-term and long-term. So we have current assets, and we list them in the order of liquidity. Cash is first, $78,200. Accounts receivable, supplies on hand, prepaid insurance, and prepaid rent. So therefore, you notice the inside column here, okay? To the outside, so total current assets are $185,800. Then property, plant, and equipment. We have building less accumulated depreciation, and so therefore, it's $283,200 left to be depreciated. Then truck less accumulated depreciation, and we have $69,600. So therefore the total of these two assets, the building and the truck, is $352,800, and therefore the total assets are $538,600. And those are the assets. Next will be the liabilities and the shareholders' equity. This is the liabilities and shareholders' equity. Now, as with the assets, we had to divide them into current assets and long-term assets. Here you do the same with current liabilities and long-term liabilities. However, in this case, we don't have any long-term liabilities. So we simply list the current liabilities, and the total liabilities, $36,000. Shareholders' equity section, the common stock or capital stock from the adjusted trial balance, $300,000. Retained earnings comes over to us from the statement of retained earnings that we have completed. So the total shareholders' equity section value is $502,600. Therefore, the total liabilities and shareholders' equity, $538,600, which balances with our total assets. So now we have prepared the financial statements in good form to be published so that people outside the business will be able to read them and understand them and know what's gone on in the business for the month of June. And that completes the preparation of the financial statements.